Wife filled the car so much with bags I couldn't see. I told her she makes traveling no fun. Now we face divorce. My wife, 38F, and I, 36 male, have been together for 8 years. I'm from Arkansas, and she's from San Diego. Every year, she wants to visit home. We used to fly, but ever since our daughter, 2F, was born, she insists on driving instead. I don't mind using all my vacation days on this. After all, her family is important, but traveling is hellish because she overpacks every single time. Before, she totally filled up my Mazda CX-7 with mountains of bags for these trips, but now that I get a $900 monthly car allowance from work, we upgraded to a full-size Suburban. It didn't help. This time, she loaded the beast all the way to the ceiling. I'm talking from the front passenger seat up to the ceiling, so I could barely see the mirrors. We ended up not even using most of the stuff. Every time we stopped, I had to lug all her bags into the hotel because she was constantly worried someone would steal them if we left them in the car. 3 days each way. Just thinking about it makes me tired. I got through the trip, but I finally told her she was making traveling miserable. The overpacking is just part of it. She's late, every single time. If I say, let's leave at 10 a.m., I'm lucky if she turns up by noon. So, every day of the road trip, we wouldn't leave the hotel until noon, and then she'd insist we drive until midnight. Who thinks that's fun? This last weekend, I was sent on a work conference. Honestly, I was excited because they put me up in a sweet hotel room at a really nice resort. The plan was to go together, just the two of us, and leave our daughter with my mom. The day before, she scrapped that, canceled my mom and insisted on bringing our kid. And, of course, she filled up the Suburban again for just 5 days and nights, an epic feat. She brought a tote of blankets, another filled with towels, and 2 huge totes just with her clothes. It was ridiculous. I told her right there that she makes these trips miserable. It's not just the packing. The hotel rooms always get completely cluttered and chaotic, and when the time comes to leave, it turns into an exhausting nightmare as she rushes around organizing things she never even used. She blew up at me, accused me of only wanting to go to the conference so I could cheat on her, even though I've never cheated and I literally invited her. She said she's filing for divorce because I told her that her overpacking, filling every vehicle to the brim, and always being late makes traveling hell for me. On top of all that, we were 3 hours late leaving for my conference, so I missed the crucial networking opening night, the one where everyone forms cliques and important connections happen. I missed the best vendor events because she wouldn't let me go while she was overwhelmed by her mess, all over the hotel room. Our toddler was having a field day destroying everything too. I am involved in raising our child, it's not like I shirked that at all. For this trip, I had packed one big suitcase for the baby, with toys, diapers, food, everything she needed. I had a bag ready for my wife and a small one for myself. But she blew right past that. Yes, she does have ADHD and she'll admit she doesn't want to overpack. But then every trip, it happens anyway. She also comes from a hoarder background. I am not a cheater, no matter what she says. The last time I took a trip solo, she accused me of the same thing. Honestly, I'm completely exhausted. If she really goes through with leaving me, I think I'd be done with relationships altogether. My mental health is wrecked. My boss wasn't mad about the whole thing, surprisingly. When I explained what had happened, he actually found it funny. He's the type who skips half the conference himself. My job isn't in danger, but I was still anxious. These conferences matter to me. I want to be able to rely on myself, but with all the chaos, it's getting harder. I've tried everything. I've packed for her, I've tried to just accept her quirks, but it's only gotten worse over the years. When we first got together, she needed a large checked bag for a 2-day trip to Vegas. Annoying, maybe, but manageable. Now? She needs an entire Suburban, stuffed to the roof, for a 1-week trip. It's maddening. The worst part is the safety. She fills the car so full I can't even see out the side mirrors. I keep telling her it's dangerous, but she just yells back that I don't understand. It's like there's no getting through. At this point, I don't know what to do. I feel like if she really walks out, I'll just give up on dating or marriage. I'm completely spent. Update 1. About a month ago, I told my wife she makes traveling no fun, and honestly, that was just the beginning. After that emotional ride, we packed up for home, and the moment we got there, I tried to talk things through. She brushed me off with, "We're fine." But I knew we weren't, so I called a counselor myself, got us back into couples therapy and found a specialist for her, one that works with trauma-induced hoarding. The lawyer threats came up again. This time, when she threatened to call one, I literally dialed an attorney on her phone, switched it to speaker, and walked away. Not my finest move, I'll admit. But things had to change. Since then, we've gone to 4 therapy sessions together. She's gone on her own 5 times. I've spent every penny I'd saved up to get professional help into our home. People came in and, in a week, we filled 2 40-yard dumpsters with the stuff we tossed out. We cleaned out her car, the one she drives our daughter around in every day, and set strict rules. Only her purse and the diaper bag up front, everything else stays in the trunk. I check it every single day. Once, I let 4 days go by and it was packed again. We're planning a trip to see her family in December, but I drew a line. If the car is overloaded, I'm taking my daughter and flying. She can make the road trip alone if it comes to that. We've already prepped the packing lists. The Suburban's boot can be full, but nothing over the boot cover, and up front, just a small cooler, her purse, and the diaper bag, that's it. I even bought refundable plane tickets for my daughter and me, just in case she decides to overpack or lose her temper. Is life better? For her, maybe. She seems happier. Her family says she's thriving, happier than ever. She's always wanted a clean house and car, but our efforts turn into a battlefield, even now. I clean, and she fights me, right when she claims she was about to do it herself. As for me? I am utterly miserable. I constantly pick up after her, in the car, the yard, the house. If I slack, even for 2 days, I get screamed at for sabotaging her. I consulted a lawyer myself, but not to file for divorce, just to protect myself. My boss lined me up for a promotion, which would be great if not for the nagging reality. If my marriage ends and she takes our daughter back to California, I'd be locked into a 2-year work commitment, trapped. It's a terrifying prospect, feeling tied in knots for my career when my home life is falling apart. I should probably mention the cheating conversation. She admitted she fears I'll cheat. Her words, "You're not the ugliest guy, you work hard. If you hate me, you have options." Whether or not she's cheating, I can't find it in myself to care anymore. I'm completely checked out. People ask why I haven't just called it quits. The truth? She's my wife. We made vows, for better or worse. I can't just abandon her when she's clearly struggling. That's not how I was raised. Divorce was never an option in my family. I've given myself a deadline, Christmas 2026. If things aren't better by then, I'll walk away. Until then, I pick up after her because counseling says it helps, but honestly, it's mostly for our daughter. She deserves a clean home, so I do the work myself. Is it soul-crushing to come home and find the kitchen table buried under random things because my wife was going to bake but never did? To see our bed covered in totes of clothes she was going to sort but didn't? Yes. Do I want to go through the guest room every 3 days because she's dragged more stuff in there? No, but I do. If I don't, our house descends into chaos. My child doesn't deserve that. If I leave, I'm abandoning someone with a mental illness. So instead, I just keep destroying myself. At least when I finally do walk away, I'll know I tried everything. I document her car, the house, before and after I leave, every time. I probably am enabling her, but if this blows up, as it likely will, I'll do everything I can to keep my daughter. Part of me going above and beyond is to prove I'm the better parent, because people were right. Before, I wasn't protecting my kid. She accuses me of sabotaging her when I clean up, claiming she was going to do it in a minute, even if it's been days. And work? I'm still full-time. She just went back to teaching full-time, too. I wanted her to stay home with our daughter, that's why I took this job, even though I don't love it. But this is what she says she needs. A side note, for those who wonder, yes, I say boot and trolley, I'm from Arkansas, but I've traveled, worked everywhere, and I watch more than just Walker Texas Ranger. I even use British terms just to mess with people and, honestly, because it amuses me. This is where I am now, exhausted, numb, and waiting for a sign that things will truly change, but knowing deep down that I can only hold on for so much longer. Update 2. Well, it's been about 2 months since my last update, and honestly, I don't even know where to start. Christmas came and went, and that December trip to San Diego? Yeah, that was a disaster I should have seen coming. She actually stuck to the packing rules for about 5 minutes. I watched her load the Suburban boot, everything looked good. Then she started making one more trip to the house. Then another. By the time I caught on, she'd filled the entire back seat with random stuff, a humidifier just in case the hotel air is dry, 3 different types of phone chargers, and a whole duffel bag of emergency snacks that could have fed a small army. I didn't say a word. Just walked to my computer, printed out those plane tickets I'd bought, and started packing a single bag for me and our daughter. She lost it, screaming that I was abandoning the family and proving I never loved her, but I held my ground. We flew to San Diego while she drove alone with her mobile storage unit. The weird part? The trip was actually amazing without her chaos. My daughter and I had 3 peaceful days with her grandparents before my wife finally showed up, exhausted and cranky from driving solo. Even her own family seemed relieved that the house wasn't immediately buried under mountains of unnecessary junk. But here's where things get really messy. While we were there, my wife's phone kept buzzing with texts from someone named Jamie. She'd grab it quickly every time, then disappear to make work calls. Her sister pulled me aside one evening and asked if everything was okay at home. Apparently my wife had been texting her constantly about feeling unappreciated and how I don't understand her needs. I didn't think much of it until we got home. She started working late more often, claiming she had to catch up on lesson plans. Fair enough, she's a teacher, it happens. But then I noticed she'd started taking showers immediately when she got home, even on days she claimed she'd been sitting in meetings all afternoon. And her phone? Suddenly it had a passcode I didn't know. The breaking point came 3 weeks ago. I was cleaning out her car, our daily routine, and found a receipt from a restaurant downtown. Lunch for 2, on a Tuesday when she'd told me she was eating at school. The timestamp showed 1:47 p.m., right during her lunch break. I confronted her that night after our daughter went to bed. Started simple, how was your day? Did you eat lunch at school? She looked me straight in the eye and said yes. Described the cafeteria food, complained about the noise, the whole performance. When I showed her the receipt, her face went white, then immediately red. You're going through my things now? This is exactly why I can't trust you. Classic deflection. She claimed it was a working lunch with Jamie. Turns out Jamie is the new PE teacher at her school. A guy, by the way, which she'd somehow never mentioned in 8 months of talking about work. The therapy session stopped after that. She said she didn't need some stranger judging her relationships and that I was trying to control her through counseling. Our couple's therapist actually called me directly, something she'd never done before, to say my wife had canceled all future appointments and specifically requested that I not be informed. So here I am, documenting everything like I said I would. Photos of the house, timestamps of when she comes home, screenshots of our bank statements showing charges I don't recognize. My lawyer says it's smart, especially if custody becomes an issue. The promotion at work came through, which should be good news. Better money, better benefits, but the timing feels cursed. Just as my marriage is imploding, I'm locked into this job for 2 years. If she takes our daughter back to California, I'll be stuck here, fighting for weekend visits and holiday calls. Our daughter has started asking why mommy and daddy don't talk to each other anymore. What do you even say to a 2-year-old? That mommy might have a boyfriend? That daddy is dying inside but pretending everything is fine? I keep thinking about those vows, for better or worse, but when does worse become too much? When does trying to save someone who doesn't want to be saved become destroying yourself? My deadline is still Christmas 2026, but honestly, I don't know if I'll make it that long. Every day feels like I'm walking on eggshells, waiting for the other shoe to drop. She's happier, everyone says so. But I'm disappearing, piece by piece. The house stays clean because I keep cleaning it. Our daughter has clean clothes because I do the laundry. The bills get paid because I pay them. And my wife? She's texting Jamie and taking mysterious lunch breaks and coming home smelling like cologne that isn't mine. I'm not sure what I expected when I married her, but it wasn't this. It wasn't feeling like a stranger in my own life. Update 3. It's been 6 weeks since my last post, and I honestly didn't think I'd be back here so soon. But life has a way of kicking you when you're already down, and apparently mine wasn't done with me yet. The Jamie situation exploded in the most unexpected way possible. 2 weeks ago, I was picking up our daughter from daycare when another parent, let's call her Sarah, approached me. Turns out her husband teaches at the same school as my wife. She looked uncomfortable as hell, but she pulled me aside and said, "Look, I don't know you well, but if it were my husband, I'd want to know. Jamie isn't just the PE teacher. He's married. Has been for 12 years, with 3 kids, and apparently, his wife found some very interesting text messages on his phone about 3 weeks ago. Sarah's husband said the whole school is buzzing because Jamie's wife showed up during lunch one day, marched straight into the principal's office, and demanded to see the lesson plans my wife and her husband had been working on. That explained why my wife came home early that Tuesday, claiming she had a migraine. She'd been dead silent all evening, which I actually appreciated at the time. Now I know why. But here's where it gets really twisted. Jamie's wife didn't just confront them at school. She called me. Last Friday, while I was at work, this woman I'd never met left a voicemail on my work phone. Somehow she'd gotten the number from the school directory. Her voice was shaking, but she was determined. She said her husband had admitted to an emotional affair but swore nothing physical happened. She wanted to meet. Against every instinct I had, I agreed to coffee with a complete stranger to discuss our cheating spouses. It felt surreal, like something out of a bad TV movie. But Jamie's wife, her name is Lisa, brought copies of text messages that made my stomach drop. My wife hadn't just been complaining about feeling unappreciated. She'd been telling Jamie she was trapped in a loveless marriage and that I was emotionally abusive for trying to control her hoarding. The messages went back 8 months. 8 months. Including detailed complaints about our therapy sessions and how she was only going to keep me happy until she could figure out her exit strategy. The worst part? There were messages from December, right after our San Diego trip. While I was proud of myself for standing my ground and flying separately, she was texting Jamie about how I'd abandoned her and proven I didn't care about the family. She'd turned my attempt at setting boundaries into evidence that I was the problem. Lisa showed me photos too. Her husband had apparently been deleting their conversations, but she'd recovered them from his cloud backup. There were pictures of my wife at that downtown restaurant, not alone with Jamie, but with him and another couple from school. She'd been lying about that too, making it seem like some secret rendezvous when it was apparently a group thing. But the texts afterward? All about how she wished it had been just the two of them. When I got home that night, I was done pretending. I sat my wife down and laid it all out. The phone calls with Lisa, the recovered messages, everything. I expected her to deny it, to gaslight me like she had with the restaurant receipt. Instead, she just stared at me for about 30 seconds, then said, "Well, now you know." No apology. No explanation. Just confirmation that everything I'd suspected was true. She said she'd been planning to tell me after Christmas anyway, that she'd already talked to her family about moving back to San Diego. With our daughter. The next part happened fast. She started pulling out her phone, showing me real estate listings in San Diego that she'd been browsing. Job applications she'd already submitted to schools there. She'd been planning her exit for months, all while letting me pay for therapy, letting me clean up after her, letting me think I was trying to save our marriage. Then she dropped the real bomb. She's pregnant. I just sat there, completely numb. She's 10 weeks along, which means it happened right around New Year's. We'd been intimate exactly twice since Christmas, both times when she'd been unusually affectionate after working late. I asked if it was mine. She got furious, screaming that of course it was mine, how dare I even suggest otherwise. But here's the thing, Jamie's wife told me he'd admitted they'd been close but swore they never crossed that line. My wife's reaction made me wonder if he'd been telling his wife the truth. The house has been a war zone ever since. She stopped even pretending to control the hoarding. Every room except our daughter's bedroom is buried under piles of stuff. She's leaving dishes in the sink for days, abandoning laundry everywhere. It's like she's daring me to clean up after her so she can accuse me of being controlling. Meanwhile, I'm trying to process that I might have another child on the way while my current child asks why mommy is always crying and why daddy sleeps in the guest room now. The guest room that I have to clean out every other day because my wife keeps dumping random junk in there. My lawyer says the pregnancy complicates everything. Even if I could prove the affair, which is harder than you'd think with just text messages, California is a no-fault state anyway. If she moves back there with our daughter, the new baby would probably be born there too, making it even harder to get custody. Work has been my only escape. My boss actually asked if everything was okay because apparently I've been working late every night. I told him my home situation was complicated, and he offered to let me work remotely if I needed to relocate. Part of me wonders if that's a sign I should just follow her to California and try to salvage whatever relationship I can have with my kids. The weirdest part is that Jamie's wife wants to stay in touch. She says her husband ended whatever was happening with my wife after she confronted him, and they're trying to work things out. But she feels guilty, like she should have said something sooner. She keeps texting me updates about her marriage counseling sessions, like we're in some kind of club. Now, I've moved my Christmas 2026 deadline up. Way up. I'm giving this until summer, maybe less. Not because I want to abandon my family, but because I'm starting to realize that staying might be worse for our daughter than leaving. She shouldn't grow up thinking this is what marriage looks like. My wife is scheduled for her first prenatal appointment next week. She asked if I wanted to come. I said yes, because even if this marriage is over, if that baby is mine, I want to be involved from the beginning. But honestly, I don't know what I'm hoping to find out more, whether the baby is healthy, or whether the timing makes sense. Everyone keeps asking what I'm going to do. The truth is, I don't know. But for the first time in months, I'm starting to think about what I want instead of what I should do. And what I want is to not dread coming home every day. What I want is to not spend my evenings documenting chaos for lawyers. What I want is to be able to look at myself in the mirror without seeing a stranger. Maybe that makes me selfish. Maybe I'm abandoning ship when I should be fighting harder. But I'm tired of fighting for someone who's been planning her escape since before I even knew there was a war. Update 4. It's been 3 weeks since the pregnancy bombshell, and I honestly thought that was going to be the worst of it. I was wrong. So incredibly wrong. The prenatal appointment was enlightening. My wife seemed nervous the entire drive there, which I chalked up to normal pregnancy anxiety. But when the ultrasound tech started measuring and asking about dates, my wife got fidgety. Really fidgety. The tech kept frowning at the screen, taking more measurements, asking my wife to confirm her last menstrual period again. Finally, she said the baby was measuring closer to 12 to 13 weeks, not 10 like my wife claimed. My wife immediately got defensive, saying she's always had irregular periods, that dates can be off. But I was doing the math in my head. 13 weeks ago puts us right around Thanksgiving. We barely spoke to each other that entire week, let alone had any intimacy. I didn't say anything in the moment, didn't want to cause a scene in front of the medical staff. But that night, I asked her directly about the dates. She exploded, accused me of trying to make her feel crazy, said I was obsessing over details that didn't matter. But here's the thing, details do matter when you're trying to figure out if you're about to raise another man's child. 2 days later, Lisa, Jamie's wife, called me again. She was crying, which immediately put me on edge. Turns out Jamie had been lying about more than just the emotional affair. Lisa found a hotel receipt in his jacket pocket, same day as that lunch my wife lied about, but hours later. 3:47 p.m. check-in at a Holiday Inn downtown. 1 room, 2 guests. I felt sick. Actually physically ill. But Lisa wasn't done. She'd hired a private investigator after finding the hotel receipt. Apparently her family has money and she wasn't messing around. The PI had been following Jamie for 2 weeks and had photos. Lots of them. My wife and Jamie, entering that same Holiday Inn on 3 different occasions over the past 2 months. My wife and Jamie having coffee at a place 20 minutes from her school where they definitely wouldn't run into colleagues. My wife and Jamie at a park, sitting in his car, looking very cozy for 2 people having work meetings. The most damning photo was from last week. My wife, clearly showing her pregnancy, hugging Jamie next to his car. The timestamp showed 4:30 p.m. on a Tuesday when she'd told me she had a staff meeting until 6. Lisa wanted to meet again. This time, she brought printouts of everything: photos, hotel receipts, even credit card statements showing Jamie had bought lunch for two on days when he told her he was eating at school. She was building a case for her own divorce, but she thought I deserved to know the truth. I confronted my wife that night with the photos. No preamble, no gentle approach. Just laid them out on the kitchen table after our daughter went to bed and asked her to explain. She didn't even try to deny it anymore, just looked at the pictures like she was seeing them for the first time and said, "I guess you know everything now." What followed was the most brutal conversation of my life. She admitted the affair had been physical since November. Said she'd been miserable for years but didn't know how to leave. Jamie had made her feel seen and appreciated in ways I apparently never had. She said the hoarding, the chaos, all of it was her way of pushing me away because she was too cowardly to just ask for a divorce. And the baby? She doesn't know whose it is. She actually said those words out loud: "I don't know whose baby this is." Like she was commenting on the weather. I asked if she was planning to find out. She said she didn't see the point, she was moving back to California regardless, and I could choose to be involved or not. As if paternity was some kind of optional participation activity. That's when something inside me just snapped. I told her she had 2 weeks to figure out her living situation because I was done. Not Christmas 2026. Not summer. Done. She could take a paternity test or not, but either way, she wasn't staying in my house while pregnant with another man's possible child, filling every room with junk and treating me like a roommate who pays the bills. She called me heartless. Said I was abandoning her when she needed support the most. The irony was so thick I almost laughed, but here's where it gets complicated, because of course it does. My daughter has been asking about the baby. My wife told her about being pregnant before telling me about the paternity question. So now I have a 2-year-old who's excited about being a big sister, and I'm trying to figure out how to explain that mommy might be moving far away. My wife's family has been calling nonstop since she told them about our separation. Her mother actually had the nerve to call me and say I was being unreasonable for not supporting my wife during her pregnancy. When I explained that the baby might not be mine, there was dead silence. Then she hung up. Jamie's situation has imploded too. Lisa filed for divorce last week and is apparently going for everything: full custody, alimony, the works. She found out Jamie had been using their joint credit card to pay for those hotel rooms. She's furious, but she's also been texting me almost daily with updates, like we're co-conspirators in some twisted revenge plot. The weirdest part? My wife seems relieved. Like she's finally free to stop pretending. She's started packing boxes, though with her hoarding tendencies, it's less packing and more creating new piles of chaos in different rooms. She's been on the phone constantly with her sister, making plans to move back to San Diego, but she still wants me to go to the next ultrasound appointment. Says it's important for closure and that she wants to do this right for once. I don't know what that means, but I said yes. Partly because I need to know, and partly because some masochistic part of me wants to see this through to whatever end awaits. My lawyer says I'm in a better position now for custody of our daughter. The affair, the hoarding, the lies, it all builds a case if she tries to take our child across the country. But he warned me that if she moves back to California before any custody arrangement is finalized, things get much more complicated. Work has been my sanctuary again. My boss pulled me aside yesterday and said the company was opening a new branch in San Diego next year. Asked if I'd be interested in relocating to manage it. The timing feels like the universe playing games with me. Part of me wonders if I should just follow her to California, try to be near my daughter even if my marriage is over. But another part of me, the part that's been slowly dying for the past 2 years, thinks maybe this is my chance to finally breathe again. I've got 13 days left on the deadline I gave her. She keeps saying she needs more time, that moving across the country while pregnant is complicated. But I'm done being flexible. Done accommodating. Done setting myself on fire to keep other people warm. The house already feels different. Quieter, somehow, even with all her packing chaos, like it knows something is ending. I never thought I'd be grateful for someone else's private investigator photos, but here we are. At least now I know I'm not crazy. At least now I have proof that my instincts were right all along. The next ultrasound is on Friday. After that, paternity test or no paternity test, I think I'll finally have my answer about what comes next. Either way, I'm not spending another year waiting to see if things get better. Some things are just too broken to fix.